Hey, this is Faith again. I'm going to talk about Staten Island. Now, I was born and raised in Staten Island, um, so I know a lot about it. So, I'm going to talk about the business first. In Staten Island, there are people that have businesses that our family owns. Some of them are immigrants too, but it's really rare. Um, there's a lot of racism in these businesses sometimes. It's pretty diverse for a part of the city, and some places just aren't. I experienced racism a lot in Staten Island. People thought that I was Italian. Some people thought that, I was white just because of the color of my skin. And I'm Spanish. So I've experienced a lot of people um, talking about black people, and it's just terrible sometimes how people were brought up over there, and it's just not good. So second, yeah, I'm going to talk about the schools there. The schools are really good. The curriculum is really great. I felt like I had a well-rounded education, and I also taught myself, so it wasn't just I went to school because going to school doesn't make you smart at all. What matters is what you put into it. Now, um lastly, the geographics of it. A lot of places in Staten Island have marshlands. And by marshland, I mean places that have sewer problems, their basements are getting flooded, their roads are getting washed up with water and mud, and I'm serious. Like, there has been really serious rainfalls, like, oh my gosh, like I couldn't even walk in the street. That's how bad it would be in Staten Island. Um, I heard from older people back in the day, like in the 90s. I heard people would talk about, oh, there was frogs and wildlife, a whole bunch of wildlife. I grew up. There was deer, there was possums, there was you know, squirrels, and I've even seen raccoons a couple of times. Beavers. It's a lot of wildlife over there. It's not like the city at all. It's more relaxed. Rats. Hello. Pigeons. Hawks. Um, I've seen bluebirds and cardinals, and uh, there's lakes there that are peaceful. Clove lakes. There's a lot of forests, and it's really beautiful. Some areas are, there's the Sanal dump, of course, but a lot has changed because I remember people used to complain how much it smelled, and a lot of people, over there, and I noticed throughout the years, some people had developed cancer, and I think it's because of the water, and I think it's because of how they're maintaining the sanitation over there and everything, and because that part of the island is really messed up. It's a lot of toxic waste and everything over there. So, yeah, there's a lot of deep, dark secrets. There's a lot of places that are haunted about Staten Island. In the beginning, I read a lot of books about Staten Island, and there was Indians. They used to worship different spirits and everything back in the day before the settlers came. Now the first churches were in Port Richmond. There was a lot of Dutch, French settlers there. There was a farm there in Richmond Town. Yeah. So Richmond Town, I think it might be haunted. Snug Harbor. There's a lot of controversy. I heard that there was a lot of sailors that died there. That's why it's called Sailor Snug Harbor. Their tombstones are actually in one of the buildings. It looks like an open field, but it's actually a gravesite. So that's a lot of people don't know about it. A lot of people come there that they think it's just some recreational center, and it's not. It's a gravesite. Um, Yeah, Staten Island Ferry, the bridges. There's a lot of drug dealing, a lot of heroin use, pill popping, actually even prostitution too. Uh, there was actually a police officer that was involved in a prostitution ring in Staten Island not that long ago. It was in the news, but it wasn't viral. But I read about it. Yeah. So that's just a little bit about Staten Island. I recommend reading books and stuff if you really want to know how Staten Island is. The lifestyle is, yeah. I'm Staten Island native, so this is my accent. I was born and raised in Staten Island, so it's kind of gaudy sounding. People are like, "What are you from Boston?" I'm like, "No, like I'm from Staten Island." Like what? Or so I get a lot of talk, from different people, like from the Bronx or whatever, like my accent. They're like, I never heard an accent like that. And, my some people be like, you're really nice, you're different from all these other people. And I was just brought up, in a Christian household. So that has really nothing to do with, the place that I lived at. I just was brought up in the church and everything like that. So obviously my character is a little bit different. So, yeah. Staten Island, there's a lot of people that live in houses. There's some projects, but you know, the people in the projects there, there's very little crime rate there. It's not like if people get shot or stabbed and stuff, all the time. But there's a lot of people that disappear. That's the thing about Staten Island. If there's there's a lot of mafia mafia uh things happening over there. So that's just a little scoop of, a little bit of what I know. So have a good day, guys.